Scarlet and Violet are two Pokemon games that I've had a rollercoaster experience with since their release. When I first bought a copy in 2022, they became the only set of games in my 25 years of playing Pokemon that I actually disliked. But during my Shiny Only challenge in 2023, I came to really appreciate the stories they had to tell, how likeable the characters were, and their music and Pokemon designs. And yeah, while the performance issues and overall empty open world still really frustrated me, I finished that challenge with a newfound respect for this generation of Pokemon. But I wasn't super eager to go back to Paldea, and I also wasn't sure that I'd ever get around to playing the DLC. So you're probably wondering how we got here, and to be honest, so am I. I genuinely didn't plan on making this into a Shiny Only run or even a video, because I was mainly using this DLC as a sanity break from my Pokemon Shield run by live streaming parts of it in between that challenge. But something happened during the course of those streams, and the Teal Mask became one of my favourite Pokemon journeys of all time. So with that in mind, please enjoy the Teal Mask DLC, but I can only use Shinies. Our journey in this DLC officially begins at the Academy with an introduction to Briar, a professor from the Unova region. The whole premise of this storyline is that there's an annual school trip to a place called Kitakami which has some promising links to terrestrialization, and that's something she's really interested in. I do find it quite bizarre though that we as a student get to travel freely in and out of Area Zero, but someone like her needs approvals and permission before entering. I mean, I suppose we are a champion ranked trainer at this point, but she is a professor, and more importantly, she's an adult. Either way, she seems like a character to keep our eye on. Oh, it's worth noting at this point as well that I started us off with a shiny Gligar and Vulpix that I caught in the 50 Hours in Legends Arceus video, because I actually gave away my entire shiny collection from Pokemon Scarlet in that Shiny Only video, and so we had no Pokemon to officially start with. Don't worry though, because we'll be building our own shiny team in Kitakami pretty soon. Anyway, after meeting a few of the other students who won a place on this trip, we were finally able to catch a flight over to Kitakami itself to begin this DLC. And we're almost immediately thrust into the story here, but before we go any further, let's talk about how beautiful this region is. A very rural area with virtually no towns or areas for humans to live, Kitakami is a place where nature and Pokemon reign supreme. A big indicator of this is shown to you right as you enter the largest place of residence here, Masui Town, where you'll see the great Oni Mountain towering above the town and its people. And from looking at the map, there's not really anywhere else to see other people except for the Apple Hills and the monument, which are really close to the town, or in Kitakami Hall, which again is only a stone's throw away. That gives us a stunning array of areas to explore off the beaten path, all of which feel unique and in my experience flowed really well. Something I always disliked about Scarlet and Violet was the generic area names in between towns and cities, like South Province Area 3 or North Province Area 1. They just made things sound so dull and uninteresting, but here we have actual names again. The Timeless Woods, the Crystal Pool, Mossfell Confluence, Oni Mountain. I could go on, but they give these places a personality, and they really allow you to remember exactly where things are. We'll talk more about the people of Kitakami later on, but I couldn't start this video without complimenting the region's design first, because it's such an upgrade from Paldea and a step in the right direction for sure when it comes to open world Pokemon games. Anyway, our first job was to travel up to the town and request some help for one of our classmates, as Master Tom Holland himself had fallen ill on the ride over. The town is only a light jog away, but before we were able to enter, we were challenged by a girl named Carmine who has a clear dislike of outsiders, with her brother Kieran trying his best to dissuade her. We managed to defeat her with ease in battle, but if she didn't have a problem with us beforehand, she definitely does now.
Oh, that is some real... When someone does this, that's some real anger.
In all seriousness, both of these characters are very important to this story, but there'll be plenty of time to talk about them later on. So with that done, we received our official greeting from the town's caretaker and finally settled into our new accommodation. And it's here where you can see a little bit more of what I was talking about earlier, as the town's caretaker talks about their new community hall like it's this wonder of technology. when in reality it's pretty standard compared to virtually any building that you'd see in Mesa Goza or Levincia. The people here clearly lead a simple life, free of the hustle and bustle of a city, but also detached from the modern commodities that people from more populated areas might enjoy, although they do seem pretty content with that. You do see some people using Rotom phones, like the caretaker or the lady at the Pokemon Center, but given how unfamiliar Kieran is with them, and how behind the times Kitakami generally seems to be with technology, it makes me think that they're maybe not widely available here. The general store won't accept League points as a currency, only cash, and flying to an area on the map demonstrates that Noctowl taxis are used here instead of Corviknight, which to me implies that they're in too remote of an area for conventional taxi services to reach. These small touches really play into the rural nature of Kitakami, and it explains a little more why the humans here probably haven't wanted to expand their territories, because they're actually quite happy with what they have. Anyway, after a good sleep we were given our first real task of the trip by the caretaker and professor, which is an orienteering trip of sorts to various signposts around Kitakami, which details some history about a folktale passed down in the region. Carmine suggested that we partner up with Kieran for this task, but he wanted a battle before we set off. Like Carmine, he's sort of a pushover at this point, so we got through it with ease, but then...
What is the kid behind me doing? Oh god. Sorry. Oh, that might be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
Okay, time for the first signboard. Long, long ago, there was a fearsome ogre in the land of Kitakami. The ogre made its home in the mountain behind the village, frightening all who ventured there. One day, the ogre came down from the mountain in a terrible rage, causing great fear in the village. By some stroke of luck, Okidogi, Munkidori and Pheasantipity all happened to be there as well. The three Pokemon laid down their lives to fend off the ogre and send it back to the mountain. In admiration, the people of the village bestowed upon this brave trio the title The Loyal Three. Their remains were given a proper burial, and statues of the three were erected above the site.
But then that kind of begs the question. If the three Pokemon lost their lives protecting the town from the ogre, why hasn't the ogre come back since then?
I guess we'll see. Signboard number 2 was over at Kitakami Hall, which is a really cool place where the town holds festivals, but right now everything's in preparation mode, so we'll talk more about it later on. For now, let's concentrate on the board itself. The ogre possessed 4 mysterious glimmering masks. It's said that depending on the mask the ogre donned, the powers of its cudgel would change. When wearing the Teal Mask, it could bring life back into withered greenery around it. When wearing the Crimson Mask, it could turn a candle's flame into a raging inferno. When wearing the Blue Mask, it could stop the very flow of a river. When wearing the Ashen Grey Mask, it could easily break the hardest stone in two. And before the Loyal Three fell, they wrested away 3 of the ogre's masks, greatly weakening it. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, Kieran, who's been pretty clear that he thinks the ogre is misunderstood in this whole story, wanted to actually go and check out the dreaded den next, which is the rumoured home of the ogre. So we headed up there to see what might happen next, and when we arrived at the dreaded den, it was empty. Oh. Kieran figured that a battle would shake things up and maybe attract the ogre, so we headed into another easy battle. Or so I thought.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh dear. This isn't going well. Oh god, I'm gonna lose this, guys. I've lost. No!
Well, at least that loss gave me a chance to pause and realise that I needed to start putting a shiny team together. In my defence for why this took so long to do, I just assumed that the 3 signboards were an introduction to the story as opposed to actual progression, because we'd only been streaming for about an hour or so at this point. And I was about 25 streams and 21,000 encounters into finding a 1 in 4,096 odd shiny in the Motorstoke gym in Pokemon Shield, so I just wanted to enjoy some story gameplay for the first time in about 2 months. 2 months, oh my god, can you blame me? At least we're here now. So who was my first choice for this DLC? Well, I started playing Pokemon way back in Generation 2, with Pokemon Silver. But I kinda feel like a lot of the Johto Pokemon get passed over in more recent games. So when we were riding up to the first signboard and I saw a mass outbreak of Spinarak, I knew that's where I wanted to start.
So, mass outbreak, 30 plus defeated or captured is a 1 in 2048 without charm, and 60 plus is 1 in 1365. So there we go. And now we just have to play the waiting game, pretty much. Oh! Wait, hang on. That's shiny, isn't it? That's shiny. Beautiful. I'm just gonna throw Premier Balls at it for a little bit. I wanna gauge how oh my god, that was a glitch. I wanna gauge how easy or difficult this is gonna be to catch. And it's pretty easy, so there you go, never mind, we're all good.
So finally, we had our first team member of the run in Cotton Candy. And while I was super happy with that, now was no time to rest and admire our new team member, because we'd need more shiny Pokemon to overcome Kieran and progress in the story. And lucky for us, our next shiny was quite literally just around the corner. You see, I must not have connected to the internet in this game for a while, because I had some old Pikachu and Mimikyu outbreak events still active. And while I was kind of intrigued by them because I'd somehow never found a shiny Pikachu before, what really confirmed to me that I had to check these out was the 1 in 200 shiny odds for these events before you even knock any Pokemon out, which was kindly pointed out to me by chat. That is crazy, and way too good of an opportunity to pass up. So we headed over to Mossfell Confluence where an outbreak of Pikachu had appeared, and in less than 1 minute, yes that's right, 1 minute, we found what we were looking for.
Let's do it. Right, okay. So yeah, I may as well just save the... Oh, is that a shiny? That looks shiny. Right, before I do anything else... That's wild! That's so wild. Oh my god. You can't write it, can you? It was just... What was that, like 30 seconds? Let's go, let's just chuck some Premier Balls on it, let's see if this does anything. There you go. Yes! Do you know what's hilarious with that is I didn't even get a chance to put Pikachu as the current shiny hunt. So that was a really quick one.
With Cheeto the shiny Pikachu in tow, we once again set off to find another team member via mass outbreaks, but this time I didn't really have any immediate idea of what I wanted to hunt for, and that's where time skipping comes into the equation. In these games you can change the time or date on your Nintendo Switch to reset the mass outbreaks seen on the map, and it's really easy to do as you don't even have to close the game to make this work. I did this for a little while, but as I hadn't found many Pokemon in Kitakami yet, a lot of the outbreaks would be a mystery. So I just travelled around checking each one until I found something that I liked, and after a little while I found an outbreak of Lombre. Its evolved form, Ludicolo, brings back a lot of memories from Pokemon Colosseum. It's got a great shiny, and overall it's just a fantastically useful Pokemon. So I figured this one would be a good one to go for.
Do you know what the nice thing about Lombre is going to be? Is that it is like so easy to spot. Like I'm not even going to have to pay attention to this shiny hunt, really. Oh, there it is. There's the shiny. Oh my god, super quick again. Nice. There we go. Awesome. Let's evolve Pineapple straight away. Oh, it's beautiful. That's a 10 out of 10 shiny, that's so good. And then I think we'll do one more shiny hunt before we carry on the story.
And that turned out to be Mightyena. Very similar to Ariados, I just feel like this is a Pokemon that we don't see anywhere near as much nowadays, and it's got an unbelievable shiny form too. But before we go back to our shiny hunting, it's time for our undercover reporter to deliver a shocking expose on the overinflated price of medicine in the Pokemon world. Coming to you live from Masui Town.
Oh, medicine in the Pokemon world, as we talked about. Freshwater, soda, lemonade. So let's compare these, right? A super potion restores 60 HP. A lemonade restores 70 HP. So why is it $300 more for a potion? A freshwater is 30 HP. Costs $200. 10 HP less for the same price for a potion. It's all a scam. It's all a scam.
Shocking stuff indeed. But even more shocking may be the full odd shiny that I found whilst looking for Mightyena, and I think it's a pretty cool one.
But if anything, it's oh, that's a shiny nose pass. Well, there's the full odds. It's a golden shiny. Not the one we were looking for, but we'll take it for sure. Nice. I do love nose pass, so I'm quite happy with that. Yes. Both shiny today.
After that lovely full odd surprise, it was time to once again return to looking for Mightyena. And while this one did take me considerably longer to find than the others, it was still only about 2 hours in total. After 120 hours of unsuccessful shiny hunting in the Motorstoke Gym in Pokemon Shield, I cannot express how wild it is to load up Pokemon Scarlet and find 5 shinies in a single day. It really was the definition of a sanity break, but anyway, here's how it played out.
Oh! There it is! There's the shiny. Oh my god. What a jump scare. Let's go! Oh, it's beautiful. Yes! Tangerine. Another female? What is going on? That's five females in a row. That's crazy. Right. I think for this one we don't even need to do a vote, do we? I think people are pretty unanimous with Tangerine. That's a nice little team, that. A nice little team.
Tangerine was the pinnacle of a very successful first day in the DLC, and she also became our 5th consecutive female shiny of the run, which was a really cool coincidence that continued to occur throughout our Kitakami journey. Nearing the end of our first stream, I decided to level the team up a little, evolve Nosepass, and face off against Kieran once more, marking a solid day of progress. We'd started the day with no shinies of our own and with a loss in what should have been an easy battle, but we'd finish it with an almost full team of shinies and, more importantly, a victory. Whilst the battle rages on, I'd just like to ask that if you think the video deserves it, to please give it a like and maybe even subscribe to the channel. These both really help, and we've got even more videos coming later this year if you're enjoying yourself. I'm currently in the middle of a Sword and Shield shiny only run, which we stream shiny hunts for on the channel. We'll be playing through the Indigo Disc, and Legends ZA should be out later this year too. No pressure though. With the battle won, our first day of streaming was over, but up next was something that I was really looking forward to, and that was experiencing the Festival of Masks over at Kitakami Hall. So on day 2, we journeyed back to Masui Town to meet up with Kieran at his grandparents' place, where we were able to get some new clothing ahead of the festival and battle Carmine for a second time.
Come on, Cheeto. Pull it out of the bag. Oh, not enough. Cheeto! I want stat. Oh, it didn't. No, it's got intimidate. It's not got quick feet. Okay, cool. I may as well because I've got Ludicolo in the back anyway. Oh, so close, Cheeto. Oh, Cheeto's done it. Cheeto. What a legend.
Thankfully, now that we had some more team members, especially including Cheeto, we were able to pull off another victory and head to Kitakami Hall. And there, we learned from Carmine that the festival is held to honour the sacrifice made by the Loyal Three, because the townspeople all believe that they laid down their lives to fend off the ogre. But me and Kieran are both sceptical about this story by now. We have a little look around at the various stands and treats on offer, but the biggest treat on offer here is actually a minigame called Ogre Ousting, which we'll cover in more detail later on. And trust me when I say it's going to be absolutely worth it to complete because the prize is... well, again, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get there. After trialling the minigame, we see a figure in the distance wearing a mask that's very similar to the one Kieran has. It's all alone and seems to be keeping close to the mountainside. It's scared of Carmine when she approaches, and after dropping its mask, instead of coming to take it back, it flees out of what seems like a fear of people. After the item description on screen all but confirms our suspicions that this is indeed the ogre, Carmine swears us to secrecy and totally shuts Kieran out. And so begins a rather uncomfortable sequence of events from here on out between all of us, where Kieran feels more and more ostracised, creating further links in his own head between his experiences and the ogre's. Carmine is the epitome of someone who tries to do the right thing but just executes it poorly and then fails miserably, resulting in the creation of a monster she sought to avoid in the first place. Anyway, after leaving the festival and getting a good night's sleep, we headed over to Kieran and Carmine's house to ask their grandparents for some more information about the ogre, and unsuccessfully tried to stop a thief.
I got some pocket money. From here? You're not from this house. This isn't your... Excuse me, sir. This isn't your house. Did you just steal that pocket money? Sir? Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to... Sir? Please stop. It just vanished! Oh my god!
Anyway, this is potentially the most important aspect of the entire Teal Mask storyline. because it's here that Kieran's grandfather reveals to us the true story of what happened with Ogerpon all those years ago. A long time ago, a man and an ogre came to Kitakami from a foreign land. The people of the village feared the man and the ogre, who looked so different from them. And so they refused to let the travellers come anywhere near the village. The man and the ogre were saddened that the villagers didn't welcome them. But they were happy just to have each other. They settled quietly in a cave on the mountain. There was only one villager who pitied the two travellers, the village mask maker. He made several masks for the man and the ogre. The masks were brilliant works, adorned with gems the man brought from somewhere far away. By wearing these masks, the travellers could hide their true faces and mingle with the villagers. The man and the ogre were overjoyed. They thanked the mask maker for his kindness. Wearing the masks, the man and the ogre started secretly joining the village festival. The mysterious pair soon became the talk of the village because of their brilliant masks. In fact, rumours about them quickly spread far and wide, even to distant lands. But rumours of exquisite shining masks attract more than just innocent curiosity. A group of greedy Pokemon soon made their way to the land of Kitakami. These Pokemon sneaked into the cave in which the man and the ogre lived, and tried to make off with the masks, which were carefully stored away. The man happened to be there. He managed to hold on to just one of the masks, but he was not strong enough to protect them all. The Pokemon stole the other 3 masks. Several hours later, when the ogre returned to the cave, it found its beloved home in ruin. All that was left were the signs of a struggle and a teal mask. The ogre donned that mask and went down to the village, perhaps to search for its friend. It found the greedy Pokemon there, gloating over their stolen masks, and defeated them. The villagers, of course, had no idea what was happening, nor why. All they saw was the raging ogre, and they felt great fear. The villagers thought the 3 Pokemon had fallen trying to protect the village from the ogre. To honour their sacrifice, the villagers named them the Loyal 3 and interred them with care. Wounded and weak, the ogre returned to its cave, alone and with great sadness. Given that their family are descendants of the mask maker in the story, it turns out that their grandfather can fix the mask to give back to Ogerpon, which is great news. But both Carmine and her grandfather want to keep the truth of the real story from Kieran, which is not so great, especially as he definitely heard everything we said. As a result, our only task was to continue with our regularly scheduled orienteering to avoid any suspicion, and so we headed into town to meet up with Kieran. I'll talk more about this later, but it's so odd that our character just goes along with these lies, because we can see just how much it's hurting Kieran. It was one of the first times in a Pokemon game where I actually felt like a villain of sorts, as opposed to this shining beacon of goodness. In most instances you can play a Pokemon game however you'd like and people will refer to you as this hero who wins the respect and admiration of pretty much everyone they meet, but in this DLC I didn't really feel that way. Sure, I might not have been directly ordering Kieran around or treating him poorly like Carmine, but I joined in with the lies and deceit all the same. Anyway, as much as I wanted us to have a choice in the matter, we don't have one, and so we headed off to signboard number 3 to face off in battle against Kieran once more. It was another pretty easy victory now that we've got a strong team to face off against him with, but the real draw here is the lore of the final signboard. If you see a shadowy figure approaching you outside the village at twilight, be wary. Don a mask at once and hide your face. Do so, and whether the shadow is man or monster, you will pass each other by as fellow mask wearers. If you should meet the shadow when you have no mask in hand, then pray that it is only a man. If it is, you will live to see another day, and you will remember to never forget your mask again. But if it is the ogre, you will meet your end, as do all humans whose faces are seen by it. Once it sees your face, your soul will be forfeit, and you shall never return to the village. This one was a bit of an odd one, because while the other two signboards felt like they were giving us one half of a story with some factual elements woven in, told from the viewpoint of those in the village who were there on the day the ogre attacked, this one was pure fabrication and nothing more. We did learn this earlier, but Kieran also confirms to us that his ancestor was the mask maker. And while I think it's really cool that Kieran loves the ogre because of the similarities he sees between them, I also think it's a nice metaphor in that your ancestors are never really gone while you're still around. Without any of the extraneous details or knowledge of the true story, Kieran took pity on the ogre in the exact same way that his ancestor did, and I think that's a nice touch. Well, after all that story, you'll be glad to hear that we're now getting back to some shiny hunting, and let me tell you, a couple of these were really special. First up was a hunt for Ducklet, which to be fair was pretty standard, but I almost never see shiny Swanna being used, so I couldn't wait to get one. As usual, we time skipped for a mass outbreak, knocked out 60 Ducklet and got to work, and this was again relatively quick, clocking in at around 40 minutes.
Even if you don't have your starter in your party, they'll still appear in cutscenes, so I think maybe they just didn't... Oh! There it is! Shiny Ducklet. There it is. Miss Crispy got in the way. And there you go, there's critical. We're all good. We are all good. Here we go. Beautiful.
Pickles the Swanna continued our female streak and gave us a full squad, and she's such a cool shiny too. But there was no way that I was stopping there, because there were at least a couple more Pokemon that I wanted to find before we finished this DLC, and the next two were amazing, starting with Feebas. And the sequence of events which led to us finding a shiny Feebas weren't just lucky, they were astronomically lucky. You see, Feebas spawns in this tiny little pool which can be found in a set of caves below the crystal pool itself, and it only spawns like one or two of them at a time, so it's really rare. Thankfully, you can find mass outbreaks of Feebas in this one singular spot, but they are also really rare. At this point, I'd tried time skipping for well over an hour or so with absolutely no luck, so I told everybody on stream that I'd try time skipping 10 more times before we gave up and tried hunting for something else. Get ready to see some insane luck.
Right, I'm going to give it, I think, 10 more tries, and then I'm going to call it for now. Oh! That was the 10th one? That was the 10th go! What? Are you kidding me? What the hell? Are you serious? That was literally the 10th go. That was it. If it wasn't that one, that was it. Oh, no way.
On the final time skip before we gave up on Feebas, I found it. I think I was genuinely more excited to see that outbreak appear than I have been to see some actual shiny Pokemon, but can you blame me? That was incredible. If you think that it's smooth sailing from here on out though, think again, because Feebas is still pretty elusive even with a mass outbreak. The developers have cleverly devised this room to have just enough Pokemon spawning in the land next to the pool, which makes Feebas spawns exceptionally rare compared to your usual outbreaks. And then in the connecting tunnel, there's a Whiscash you can knock out, but even if you do that, Barboach will spawn fairly regularly here too. As a result, and because you're only allowed to have so many Pokemon on screen at any one time, you've got to carefully engineer things here so that you can maximise your Feebas spawns. I worked out that the best thing to do was to knock out as many Pokemon as I could on the land next to the pool, and then rush through the connecting tunnel to where the Barboach and Whiscash spawn. As long as you don't venture too far back into the other room, the Pokemon on land won't be given a chance to spawn in and will instead be replaced with Barboach spawns in the connecting tunnel, meaning that you can keep knocking them out and replace them with Feebas spawns. It's an extremely claustrophobic shiny hunt as you don't really have much room to manoeuvre. The Barboach are small and easy to run into, and sometimes Feebas would swim down the tunnel towards me, blocking my path to the pool. Eventually though, I reached that magical number of 60 Feebas knocked out, and on the very same day that we started this hunt and almost gave up on it, I found what I was looking for.
Turn around, guys, turn around. Turn around. No! These things? Wait, is that it? Is that the shiny? There's the shiny. I swear to God I just saw it. Don't despawn. Don't despawn. Don't despawn. Please do not despawn. I'm gonna have to beat this. Hang on. If I've just... It's there. I can see it. I can see it. It's right there. Please. Scarlet, stop it. This is crunch time now. Yes! We got it! Well, we don't know if we got it, but we at least... We've got it here. Oh dear. Yes! Oh my God. Right guys, Feebas. I am... Becky, spot on, female again? What is this streak? This is unreal.
After a fantastic suggestion of Jellybean for our soon-to-be Milotic, we got a trade going and evolved her into what I think might be my favourite shiny of the whole DLC. She really is amazing. That marked the end of our second day on stream due to how long it took, but I already had some more shiny hunting plans in the works, ready for day 3. I'd asked my viewers in advance if some of them could join in and do some ogre ousting, which is the minigame I talked about earlier on. And the prize for beating this mode is so worth it, because if you can complete this on the highest difficulty, you'll get a free shiny Munchlax, which also comes with the crafty mark and is as big as it possibly can be. Now, this is quite difficult to complete and I'm not sure that it's even possible if you're doing it solo, but as a team of 4 we were unstoppable. If you haven't seen or heard of this mode before, you basically spawned into an area of Kitakami with the goal of popping these balloons, which drop different types of berries. Now, you're only allowed to hold 30 of them at a time, there are 4 different types to collect, and once you've collected enough, you can head back to the starting area and deposit them into the corresponding berry bin to get closer to the total amount needed. But it's not quite as easy as it sounds. In the harder difficulties and later rounds, the amount of berries you'll need to collect will vastly increase and different Pokemon will spawn in and try to eat all of your berries. While you can scare them away by roaring at them with Koraidon or Miraidon, if they make it to your baskets and start eating the berries, you can basically say goodbye to winning. Thankfully, if one player stays in the starting area and constantly roars, it will totally negate any Pokemon that try to eat your stash, but it does mean that the 3 players collecting will need to work a little harder to reach the totals in time. Anyway, I decided to do this on stream, which was a lot of fun as we could all chat in Discord, but it also helped with communication too. And on our very first try of the hardest difficulty and in the absolute last stage before completion, we came so close to victory.
Oh my god. This is it. Oh, it's so close.
Oh my god, that was so close. But I was pretty impressed for our first try that we managed to make it so far, and it really didn't take us much longer to actually beat this thing.
I've got 6 red, 3 grey. I've got the red. I'm here, I'm here! Yes! Oh, well done, guys. Well done. Congrats on getting through all the hard stages. Definitely doesn't happen every day. I reckon you might be the right trainer to handle that Pokemon.
And so we finally had our shiny Munchlax, lovingly nicknamed Mochi, as unanimously decided by the viewers on stream. But there was a bit of a problem as my teammates hadn't received theirs despite completing all 3 modes right alongside me. But not to worry, as we completed the mode again so that everyone could enjoy their shiny Munchlax together, culminating in a little photo shoot which commemorated our hard-earned victory. Thank you so much again to those who joined me in this event, as it was a really fun day and I couldn't have got the shiny without you all. Whilst Milotic and Snorlax were amazing additions to the team, there was one more shiny Pokemon that I wanted to find on day 3, and that's my all-time favourite Pokemon, Gligar. I have found a few of them in Legends Arceus before, and one of those is actually what we used at the beginning of this video. But I wanted to find one native to Kitakami to use for the rest of this challenge. And so, we set out to find an outbreak of Gligar, with Mochi evolving along the way as we began to knock out more and more Pokemon to increase our shiny odds. I was hoping that this would appear before the end of stream, and mass outbreaks once again proved to be my saviour, as after just 2 hours, we found our shiny Gligar.
For me now, whereas previously, when I was just doing all of this offline. Oh! There it is! Appeared right in the middle of a deep conversation. Well, you timed that very well, didn't you? You little... Ooh, you. Let's go! Female! It's another female? What is happening? Oh my god. I love it. Can I just say I'm very, very happy that it's female, because I want to continue the streak, but like, what? That's wild. Oh. Yes. Yes.
With Churro added to the team in place of Cotton Candy, we ended day 3 by levelling the team up and choosing some movesets, ready to finally complete the Teal Mask storyline and bring Ogerpon's story to a close. So, at the beginning of day 4, we set off to meet up with Carmine again to see if the Teal Mask had been fixed yet. It hadn't, but only because her grandfather needed an important component to get it nice and shiny and new. a crystal cluster from the Crystal Pool, an almost surreal place where terrestrial-like formations shimmer beneath the surface of the water at the peak of Oni Mountain. To obtain a crystal cluster, we just had to face off against a Milotic with Carmine, but it was extra fun to complete with a Pikachu and Morpeko duo. Afterwards, Briar showed up and basically confirmed that the formations here are just like those seen in the terrestrialization phenomenon, but her contributions here seem to be teasing a future story, as her presence is rarely seen here in Kitakami. With that, we headed back to the house to get the mask fixed, but it turned out that Kieran had taken it and scurried off in the direction of Loyalty Plaza. And this is why it was an awful decision to keep Kieran in the dark, because he's just too intuitive to keep a secret from, especially when it relates to the ogre. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bad to lie to people in general, but Kieran? He's so determined to get to the bottom of this story that he was always going to find out the truth. To get the mask back, we just needed to beat him in battle, and fortunately for us, our team is really well matched to his now, so this was another easy victory. But I have to wonder, at what cost? Regardless, Kieran returns the mask and heads home, and with that we're pretty much done here. Oh, what's happening? Well, it seems that the Loyal 3 have somehow been resurrected from the dead. I do recall Carmine mentioning at the Crystal Pool that there were rumours of people being able to see those who had passed away around that area, and the Milotic we battled at the pool actually has a ghost terror typing. So to me, both of those pieces of information suggest that the Crystal Pool's energy, and therefore the Crystal Cluster, can have resurrectional properties. And now that we have both the Crystal Cluster and Teal Mask in close vicinity to the Loyal 3's final resting place, maybe the energy from one or both of those brought them back to life. It doesn't seem too clear, but that's what I drew from all of this. Anyway, the Loyal 3 had headed off to Kitakami Hall first, and then onto the dreaded den to presumably finish Ogerpon off. Thankfully we got there just in time to break up the fight, taking down Monkey Dory before Carmine and Kieran arrived to really scare them away. With that, the Loyal 3 make a run for it, and while our friendship with Kieran does seem to be on the mend, the fact that Ogerpon has taken a shine to us instead of him really seems to be a bad sign for the future. Regardless, Ogerpon seems overjoyed to have the Teal Mask back, and Carmine suggests forming a mask retrieval squad to retrieve what is rightfully Ogerpon's, and so we headed off to get them back. These battles are all in the same format as a Titan Pokemon would be in the original game, so they're a bit more challenging, but we successfully managed to obtain the Wellspring Mask first from Monkey Dory, the Cornerstone Mask second from Okidogi, and the Hearthflame Mask third from Pheasantipity. And I've got to admit that while I initially disliked the Loyal 3's designs, I really came to love each of them over the course of this DLC. The poison typing fits the theme of a villainous trio well, they all share similar colour schemes and features like their toxic chains, and when you look back on the DLC as a whole, their designs really did foreshadow that they were evil at heart. It's fantastic. Anyway, with the Loyal 3 defeated and the masks in hand, Kieran came to let us know that we should head to the village with Ogerpon. When we got there, the whole town apologised to Ogerpon, and it's revealed that Kieran went ahead and told everybody the true story of what happened all that time ago. It's an almost strange ending to this storyline, because everyone just immediately believes the new version of the truth, which is quite uncharacteristic of these townsfolk. Everything just seems to have been wrapped up a little too well, and at the time I remember feeling like there must be another twist to the tale. And there is. Kind of. Our last task is to escort Ogerpon back to the dreaded den. but it doesn't want to stay there anymore, instead offering to go with us on our journey. Usually this would be it, but Kieran wanted us to have a battle to determine who would be the one to catch Ogerpon. And do you know what? As selfish as he's being here in terms of what Ogerpon wants, I can't say that I don't understand where he's coming from. You've got to realise that over the course of this story, Kieran has been the only person to fully back this Pokemon, going out of his way to learn the truth and spread the story around the town, all at great personal risk of becoming an outcast or a heretic to the other townsfolk, just like his ancestor. And while yes, we have helped Ogerpon, it doesn't feel like we deserve its respect as much as Kieran does. On top of that, we've spent a good portion of the story lying to him, and in general standing idly by while Carmine berates him. So while everything's worked out for Ogerpon after so many years of injustice, it feels like the cycle is repeating with Kieran. So again, I just feel like we aren't the true hero of this DLC. Kieran is. While I'm grateful to have a new Pokemon to add to my collection, it doesn't feel like we really deserve it. Maybe that's just me. Regardless, it's time for battle.
And there you go. I do not blame him after that. That was a bad loss. A really bad loss. I didn't lose one Pokemon, so...
With Kieran defeated, we now just needed to beat Ogerpon in battle, and this was a tough fight that I actually lost the first time around. It involves Ogerpon using each of its masks in a 4-stage Titan-style battle where it terrestrializes and changes type each turn, and boosts various stats depending on which mask it uses. It also has a unique move called Ivy Cudgel, which again changes its typing to whichever mask is being used. It's brilliant. On our second try, we were still only left with one Pokemon by the end of the battle, as Mochi the Great finished it off with a final Heat Crash.
As long as there's no more stages that I don't know about, that should be it. Nice. What do we think, guys? What ball should I should I catch this in? Baston says nest. Baston, I'm gonna go with you, dude. There it is! Ogerpon.
With that, Ogerpon was caught, and we could return to the visitors centre to get some rest for the night. In the morning, one of the other students passed on a message for us to meet Carmine up at Loyalty Plaza, and it's here where we can experience our final battle of this whole storyline. It's not a particularly challenging one, so I won't show you too much, but it's a fitting place to conclude this story. We first journeyed here with Kieran, and now we're ending with Carmine, a U-turn that I really didn't see coming. After the battle, Briar calls us both and informs us that the trip is complete as all student pairs have officially completed their tasks in Kitakami, and Carmine laments on the fact that we've become such good friends in such a short space of time, but now we have to part ways. She goes even further at the official goodbye and talks about how she was initially frustrated that her hometown was being turned into what she felt was a tourist trap, but once she got to know all of us, her opinion changed. And I feel like that's been a running theme throughout this whole DLC. Carmine's feelings about outsiders very much mirrors how the original townsfolk felt about Ogerpon. And by the end of the story, everyone seems to agree that they were too quick to make judgments about things they knew nothing about, which is a good message to end on. However, there's also some concerning news to end on, as an erratic Kieran, shut away from the world in his room at home, talks about getting stronger, with a clear desire to surpass us in future. It's an interesting way to end, with the last thing you see before the "to be continued" tagline being an ominous cutscene rather than the positive messages we just heard from Carmine and the Caretaker. I'm still not sure what's going to happen in the Indigo Disc DLC, but I literally cannot wait to see it all play out. But before we end the video, there's a couple more things that I wanted to complete in this DLC which sort of go hand in hand. First up, there's a woman named Perrin who hangs around in Masui Town, and she's clearly a descendant of Adaman from Legends Arceus, although my dumb brain didn't spot this the first time that I met her. She's got a reward or a quest or something for us, but only once we've registered 150 Pokemon in the Kitakami Pokédex. And so I figured that if I had to catch 150 of the Pokemon that live here, I might as well catch them all. I did most of this off stream because I was going on holiday around the time that we got to this point, but you all know the drill by now anyway. You catch a lot of Pokemon, you evolve a lot of Pokemon, and you spend an inordinate amount of time arranging them all in your boxes so that they're in the correct order. An inordinate amount of time, believe me. I did, however, leave 3 Pokemon for the final stream, and I'm sure that you can guess who they were. Yep, the Loyal 3. Ooh. We decided to catch these in Dusk Balls to match their colour scheme, and while this proved to be great for both Okidogi and Munkidori, who I caught at night time, Pheasantipity bled through into the daytime and became a massive nuisance, and I ended up knocking it out. And the respawn time is 20 minutes. Awesome. Well, I guess we're going to do Perrin's storyline first, and we'll come back for this nuisance later on. So, Perrin is, and I'll only say this word once in my entire lifetime, a hotshot photographer who has come to Kitakami to capture a specific Pokemon on film. It feels weird saying the word capture and Pokemon in the same sentence without there being a Pokeball involved, but it is true. She challenged us to a battle to make sure that we're up to the task, as this Pokemon is apparently really strong, but at this point in the DLC it's a cakewalk. And after learning a little bit more about the Blood Moon Beast and where it came from, we could finally journey to the Timeless Woods and get to the real juicy part of this mini storyline. No, not that. I mean, that is pretty good, but no. I'm talking about the hunt for the Blood Moon Beast. It's nighttime and the Timeless Woods are shrouded in a heavy fog, which makes for an amazing backdrop to search for this Pokemon. But first, Perrin tasks us with surveying the Pokemon that live here, so that her device can filter out the white noise and only target the Blood Moon Beast. What makes this extra special is that we get to do this while an old classic plays.
I think you all know how much I love Arceus. So this is like paying tribute to it a little bit. I adore it. I adore it.
After taking 10 pictures of the Pokemon that live here, Perrin calls us back to the tent for a review, and it's here where she reveals to us exactly why this hunt means so much to her. She's been in a bit of a creative slump, losing her acclaim as a renowned photographer and even being unhappy with her own work. But hearing tales of the Blood Moon Beast gave her hope that if she could snap some pictures of a creature so fearsome, maybe that would inspire her creatively and reignite the passion she once had for photography. It's only a small storyline, but it's pretty cool, and I love the homage paid to Legends Arceus here. Anyway, the device starts to let us know that it's located the Pokemon, and so we ventured out into the woods to finally meet this thing head on. Perrin took her camera out and accidentally used the flash function, sending this thing into a frenzy, of course! They couldn't have a mini storyline that references Arceus without a frenzied Pokemon. So just like in Arceus, it was down to us to quell this beast.
I reckon Pickles can do this. Maybe? There we go. And there we go. It crossed the sea and drifted ashore in a new land. Surviving in this place led it to take on a unique appearance and gain special powers. That is, honestly, one of the coolest Pokemon I think I've ever seen. That is a really, really good idea. And so well executed as well. Because I'll be honest, Ursaluna itself, I was like 50-50 on. Like, I liked the design, but I didn't love the design. I thought it was maybe just a little bit, it could have been done a little bit better. That is perfect. That is a perfect execution.
And with that, Perrin's mission was complete. We met back up with her in Masui Town, and while she didn't end up with the photograph she wanted, she was over the moon, no pun intended, to have reignited her passion for photography once more. And to be fair, her advice here is really solid. You shouldn't let other people's opinions or what you think you should be doing influence your creativity too much, because doing things naturally and seeing how it turns out can yield the best result. Hell, that logic alone is why you're probably watching an hour-long video right now of me playing a Pokemon DLC. With that done, there was just one more box to tick.
Yes! Yes. That was lucky. Serendipity owes its beautiful looks and lovely voice to the toxic stimulants emanating from the chain wrapped around its body. And there we go. That is officially the Kitakami Pokédex completed. I think you deserve a special diploma in recognition of this magnificent achievement. Come find me in the tall grass on Revelers Road when you have some time. Looks like you've caught 200 kinds of Pokemon that can be found around the land of Kitakami. You can get a special message from the company that certifies Pokédex completion. Well, you know I want that. Yeah, there we go. That's good. Trainer Wayfarer, we hereby certify your achievement of completing the Kitakami Pokédex. May this great feat be celebrated by all. Game Freak.
Oh, and around this time, we also learned a little bit too much information about Professor Jacques and his Gulpin.
Feast your eyes on that. It's an egg. I think Jacques may have been the one to lay the egg, maybe. He looks very happy about it, to be fair. Quite the mystery, isn't it? I only brought Gulpin to this picnic with me, and yet... That sounds really sus. That sounds really sus. Like... I only brought this one Pokemon, and we all know you need 2 people to make an egg, but... There's no other Pokemon around. Just me. But I didn't do anything with the No, I wouldn't do anything with the Gulpin. I'm just Professor Jacques. Not me. I wouldn't do anything. Okay. How could it have appeared then? I'm going to question him on this. I want him to admit what he's done. Oh, okay. Wasn't quite as sinister as I thought. Thought maybe he was having relations with a Gulpin. Maybe I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions there. Didn't really give me much choice though.
And while that would be a perfect place to leave this video, I did want to complete one more shiny hunt for you all to round things off, which I'd already decided would be for an Oricorio. The form that spawns in Kitakami is the Sensu style, which is its ghost typing, and given the obvious theme of resurrection throughout this DLC, I thought that this would be a fitting end to our adventures in Kitakami. This time I partnered up with a long-time viewer who generously made me a sparkling power sandwich in place of a mass outbreak, and within just 4 minutes, this happened.
The only other time that I've done the what's it called? Hang on a minute. Is that it? We found it already. There it is. Oh, nice. I'm kind of just hoping it knocks out Tanjiro. Oh, well, there you go. Never mind. There we go, guys. Our final shiny of the DLC core. And it's beautiful.
Thanks so much for watching. I can honestly say that I did not envisage making this into a video at all, but as I'm sure you could tell throughout, I really enjoyed this DLC. And it was an extra special journey because I got to experience it live on stream with a bunch of really cool people. I'd just like to shout a few of those out now because without them I couldn't have done quite a few of the things you've seen in this video, like evolving Feebas or completing the Ogre ousting. So a big thanks goes out to Allegedly Human, Demi, James Halpane, Snorlad and Zeke22 for being a massive help throughout these streams. Thanks to everybody else who tuned in throughout the streams too, it was just so much fun and I can't wait to play through the Indigo Disc DLC next. We have got the Pokemon Shield Shiny Only run coming first, but that means you've got a couple of things to look forward to. Au revoir, Wayfarers.